I've decided to wake up and choose violence today because you have all these examples of crime taking place in all these different cities, and the question usually gets brought up: how do we combat the rising rates of crime in our city? And someone like you or I could say, maybe if you stop giving leeway to people and the violent things that they do, maybe if you teach people that actions have consequences, or maybe if you teach them that if they go to jail, some big dude with a big dick named Big Tyrone is going to rise from the ground and lather you with oil, maybe you could combat the crime that way. But the governor of New York decided she wanted to go ahead and say, fuck it, I'm gonna give y'all the stupidest reason I could think of, and maybe that could work, or in reality, it's not going to do next to shit because no one really has respect for a bunch of criminals. And because this gave me a headache, I'm now going to punish you and give you all a headache. As crime rates soar, New York governor attempts to improve public safety by changing laws so that inmates will now be referred to as incarcerated individuals. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has just signed a law that stipulates inmates in her state will now be referred to as incarcerated individuals, a move that is unlikely to stymie, yes, that's how you say that word, the surge in violent crime that has recently plagued nearly every major metropolitan area in America, including New York City. According to a statement released by her office, Hochul claims that the language change will help justice-involved persons feel better about themselves and may perhaps encourage them to engage more seriously in their rehabilitation efforts. Individuals impacted by the criminal justice system have long noted that the terms such as felon, inmate, prisoner, convict dehumanize individuals and perpetuate the idea that incarcerated people should be permanently demonized and stigmatized. The statement reads in part, "This language change within the state law will reduce stigma against people involved in the criminal justice system and therefore eliminate barriers to opportunities that they face." I'm sorry, maybe you can fill in the gap for me. When did we start treating people who are robbers, criminals, burglars, murderers as if they're a bunch of transgenders and we want to respect their pronouns? I'm sorry, but I'm glad I don't live in New York, because if I did, I'm pretty sure I would face a fine or go to jail for this, because I'm not going to care about a bunch of criminals who belong in jail. I don't know the reasons they're in there. Maybe they're a suspect and they're just waiting for some more details so that they can be freed, or they're somebody who on a mass murdering spree. I am not valuing and respecting a bunch of people who probably don't have respect for me anyway, or the people that they harmed, which led to them being in jail. This grandiose idea of we're going to start referring to people as incarcerated persons is not going to get them to realize, you respect me as a human being, and you know that I did this because I've been dehumanized my entire life. You respect me enough, it's gonna make me change everything in my system. And when I get out of here after 90 years because I went on a mass murdering spree and I killed a bunch of babies, I'll be a new human being who will look at society in a new light, and I can even get a job before I croak on my deathbed. It is not going to work because you're spending too much time catering to a bunch of people who don't deserve it. And instead, what you should be doing is figuring out how you can prevent more people to be in prison because of the stupid shit that they keep doing and the stupid shit you governors keep letting them get away with. Hochul also added that by treating all New Yorkers with dignity and respect, we can improve public safety while ensuring New Yorkers have a fair shot at a second chance. It's funny how you want to give everybody respect, yet you're not respecting the fact that these criminals, convicts, inmates, and all the other different words that rhyme with criminal are in jail because they didn't show respect or dignity to the people that they potentially harmed. Yes, people go to jail for all these other different reasons. They're not respecting the law that you put in place that keeps people in a safe and guarded manner.
The increased random violence in New York City, another example of it, this time at the entrance to the crown jewel of the city, Central Park. A 9-year-old girl visiting here from Florida when a man just punches her in the head out of nowhere. The girl now okay, and New York cops say the attacker now under arrest because of the fast thinking and brave response of a veteran doorman at the famous Plaza Hotel. Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang talking to this hero.
Central Park is quiet tonight, but there were screams, tears, and fear Monday morning when a little girl became the latest victim of random street crime. We're told the child and her family were trying to enjoy Central Park South when a man, without warning, punched the 9-year-old tourist in the head.
I saw that there was a guy screaming and walking very quickly toward a family that had a baby in a baby carriage and a little girl. And the little girl was holding her head and she was crying, and the mother was screaming.
Enter our New York City hero. Neil Johnson has been a doorman at the Ritzy Plaza Hotel for 24 years. He was walking toward Central Park South to hail a cab for a customer when he heard the screams. He didn't hesitate to put himself between the man and the frightened family to protect them. He says the man was aggressively pursuing the victims.
Told him to stop by yelling a whole louder than him, just telling him, you better stay where you are.
Eventually, another man came to help. Neil was able to call police and arrest was made. The little girl's family declined to go to the hospital. This vendor says he saw the same attacker go after another woman as well.
After I see him, he pushed another woman.
The family from Miami saw the best and the worst in New Yorkers today. Sadly, this violent attack might be the one unforgettable souvenir they take home from this trip.
For too long, we as a society have thought of incarcerated individuals as less than people. The use of the word inmate further dehumanizes and demoralizes them. This is another concrete step our state is taking to make our criminal justice system one that focuses on rehabilitation rather than relying solely on punishment. If that's the case, why don't you focus more on actual actions that will create more opportunities for rehabilitation instead of just saying, don't refer to these bunch of criminals as anything derogatory because that's insensitive to them and what they want to do with their lives. Maybe they wanted to be somebody who was a basketball player or a construction worker or a doctor. How dare you label them something that they deserve to be labeled based on the laws that they broke? How could you, you weird American men? Fox 5 New York reports that violent crime on NYC subways last month was up 57% over July of 2021. Meanwhile, big city police departments are struggling to attract new recruits and retain those already on staff. We're getting more calls for service and there are fewer people to answer them, said Philadelphia police spokesperson Eric Grip. Great name. This isn't just an issue in Philadelphia. Departments all over are down and recruitment has been difficult. Why? Because over the past 2 years, you've had people demonizing the police to the point where they don't want to work, and anybody who aspired to be a police officer looks at this and says, I don't want to be a police officer anymore. And what have I said numerous times? You take the cops out and the criminals are going to say, hey, this is perfect opportunity. No one's here to stop us. No one's here to do anything to us. People get less sentences based on the things that they do nowadays. Is perfectly able for us to go around and do all these things. It is fucking stupid. In some areas, it's a madhouse. While you all singing songs, roasting nuts on an open fire and talking about kumbaya, these criminals getting active. Why? Because these criminals don't value these innocent people you talk about respecting and showing dignity to. They value their own greed and their own purpose for that greed, and they're going to act on anybody that they see. Not just in New York, not just in Philadelphia, not just in Florida, not just in Louisiana, everywhere. And the more people see that these leaders are going around showing less leniency and making sure that these criminals get respected and more value to them instead of the victims of those criminals, they're going to get more creative into how they're going to fuck up someone else's life. And the more people like Hochul go around and say, oh, this all talking about how a person is and what they've done and calling them an inmate, it's dehumanizing. The more these people are going to have it in their minds, it's perfectly fine for them to do stupid shit. And that's going to cause more problems. It's not going to lessen crime. And it's going to have more people looking at you, Hochul, and asking, what the fuck are you going to do as a leader to help us with all this violent crime? And if the answer is more focusing on making sure how people feel, you're going to get thrown out as the governor. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.